Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Operations and Governance Committee to order. Today is Wednesday, January 28th, and the time is 8:34. May we first have a roll call to determine the quorum? Ms. Campbell.
Ms. Bennett?
Here.
Mr. Bass?
Here.
Ms. Gustafson?
Here.
Ms. Hill?
Here.
Mr. Rice?
Here.
Ms. Lane?
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Great. All right, I'll go over some of the remote and in-person meeting rules for the day. Remote committee members, please raise your hand to speak and mute your microphone unless speaking to cut down on background noise. I'd also remind remote members to turn on their camera if you are able. And remember, remote members may not use the chat box to have any side conversations, excuse me. If you're viewing the webinar on a personal computer in the room, please ensure that your microphone and speakers are turned off to prevent audio feedback in the room. Members of the public who have joined us in person, please raise your hand at the appropriate time for public comment, and you will be called to the front to speak. If you are viewing the webinar on a personal computer, please ensure that your microphone and speakers are turned off to prevent audio feedback into the room. The first item on our agenda is public comment period for any items listed on the agenda. Are there any members of the public in the room that would like to address an item on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go to our remote participants, please.
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised to comment.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment and we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Mr. Cox, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay, great. Go ahead and deem the agenda approved as posted. We're now on agenda item number 3, approval of the minutes. There's draft minutes in our packet beginning on page 13. Does any member of the committee wish to make a change? Okay, seeing none. Any of our online committee members? I don't see any hands raised. So I will accept a motion at this point.
I'll move approval of the minutes.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? We can go ahead and take a voice vote on this, right? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. That brings us to agenda item number 4. This will be the December financials, and they can be found beginning on page 71. And I'll turn this over to Mr. Cox.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Chad Cox, TRPA Finance Lead for the record here. Morning. I thought we'd first start with a thank you for both yourselves and for the team. We got the audited financials accepted by the governing board based on your recommendation last month. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. It's good to have that one closed up, and we're currently working on taking those financials plus our annual report, and we turn that into the state of Nevada each year. So we're working on that. So all that leads into other processes. So thank you. Just a couple updates. The California governor's proposed budget was released on January 9th, which is great. The TRPA budget as a part of that is whole. So that's good news. And, jumping into how have we done fiscal year to date, we're one half of the way through the year is what I'm going to show y'all. So July 1st through December 31st. So roughly 50% through the year. Revenues are at 13.1 in total, which is roughly 43% of the budget. Expenditures are at 9.6 million, which is 30% of the budget. I'll walk you through detail on each one of those starting on the next slide. From a revenue perspective, no change obviously in state and local revenues. Those were in early as we typically do, which is great. Or grant revenue. The grant revenue invoicing, my team's working furiously right now in January to get that out for the second quarter and finalized in the first half. So when we look at these reports again next month, we should see a first half of the year view on grants. So no concerns there, but that's why you haven't seen that item move. But we will in January for that invoicing. Good news to report on the fees for service. We've been continuing to monitor our planning fees. Those were down a bit versus last year, and relatively flat to like a 3-year average up through November. But in December, we had a pretty big uptick in fees. Wendy and the team had been experiencing a lot of intake, a lot of calls. Stuff just hadn't been transitioning into that part of the project where they're ready to go. We did see a $278,000 month for the month of December, which is big. I went back and it's the biggest December I've seen. So I think that kind of pent up workload landed in fees. So through 6 months of the year, which is a half the year, we're up to 46% of the budget. So we're not quite where we want to be, but we made up a lot of ground in December. So we're going to continue to monitor those fees as they come in. But it was a good month. So the total revenue went up about $600,000 in the month of December, which was mainly driven by fees. Our rent revenues continue to be on track. And then the final line item there is our other revenue, which is mainly investment income. The LAIF interest also books on a quarterly basis. That'll book in January, and that'll step up between $200,000 and $250,000, which will bring us right where we'd expect to be through halfway through the year. So yeah, everything seems on track. Any questions on revenue?
Any questions from my colleagues on the revenue side? Seeing none, carry on.
Great. Walking through expenses, comp is right on track, 49% through half the year. It's just what we'd expect. Contracts did ramp up around $400,000 versus last month. We did only have one AP in December. When we give staff the 2 weeks off as the office is closed, we only process one AP. So we had a large AP in January. So we'll see that pop up in January. And then also, I'll get to that in a minute, but mitigation expenses have been flat. We did have some good mitigation disbursements go out. So those projects are moving. We had the Bijou Park, street sweeper, and then the Pioneer Trail pedestrian park mitigation disbursements go out to the city of Southlake in January. So that number will bump up almost $1 million in January. So expenses are on track. One thing I did mention last month is financing would come up as that payment went out to our Zions Bank. The principal and interest payment were made in December. We'll see the final interest payment, which will bring us up to the budget in April. Otherwise, yeah, we're on track and no concerns.
Great. Any questions of Mr. Cox at this time?
Okay, we'll finish here on cash flow. In December, we received $3.4 million in receipts, which was driven by a $2.7 million transportation grant receipt from invoicing that occurred earlier in the year. So between 3-4 of receipts and only $500,000 of basically expenses for payroll in that one AP, we actually had an increase in cash flow for the month of December. We're up to $7.7 million of cash generation, which, as we talk about, that's, we spend that down throughout the fiscal year. There's no intention to net here. We'll spend it down over the next 5 months on grant implementation and programs and staff. So yeah, looking normal. And then, yeah, I guess that concludes my report on the December financials.
All right, thank you for that. Are there any further comments from the committee? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to accept the December 2025 financial statements.
So moved.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Oh,
Aye.
do we have to do a roll call vote? Thank you. Sorry. Oops.
Mr.
Well-
Bass? We'll circle back. Ms. Hill?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Ms. Gustafson,
Yes.
Mr. Rice,
Yes.
Mr. Bass, Ms. Lane.
Yes,
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
thank you. That brings us to agenda item number 5, which is the quarterly treasurer's report. Information on this item can be found starting on page 149 of your packet. This is an information only item with no committee action needed. I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Cox.
Thanks again, Chad Cox, TRPA CFO for the record. Yeah, hey, so we like to bring you each quarter an update on how our investments are looking. Once again, we have our investment advisor principal will be coming to see you guys in May. They'll typically give an update. We tried to do it earlier, but our contact Eric over there had a surgery and couldn't make it until May. So we'll bring that to you in a couple of months. But in the interim, I will kind of walk you through where we are. So through December, on December 31st, we had $50 million in an investment balance as an agency. This is up $500,000 compared to the last time I shared this report with you, which is driven by investment in interest income. A couple of things from, one thing to point out, which we always show in the staff report, and I mentioned there, but 26 million of that is in trust for things like securities. From a market perspective, in December, we saw the federal funds rate reduce again, another 25 basis points in December. So between September and December, we saw 3 sequential 25% or 25 point reductions. So we're now currently at 3.25 to 3.75 is the federal funds rate. We're definitely seeing that impact. If you go and look at 1 month, 2 month, or sorry, 1 month, 3 month, 6 month treasury bills, we're seeing that interest rate reduction impact those shorter term bills. Longer term though, if you look at like a 10-year note, it's not. Which means that's more a function of inflation than the Fed funds rate. So that's just kind of an interesting tidbit to look at. So anyway, the Fed funds continue to look at those on a periodic basis, and that is the first time we've seen that kind of level of sequential reduction in a few years. Treasuries, like I said, treasuries around 1 year continuing to yield 3.48%. And overall, when I think about our LAIF and our principal funds, which is where we keep a lot of the state funds, those are yielding 4.1% on the California side and 4.08% on the Nevada side. So those are continuing to yield for 4% or so. So good news is those investments are still yielding a nice rate. When I think about our portfolio and our investments, 73% of our funds are in the state pools. So the LAIF and the LGIP, 17% are in those treasuries. And the average kind of lifespan for our treasuries are currently at 33 months. So not quite 3 years. So we've got these higher rates locked in for the next 33 months. So we should continue to see good returns, even though we're seeing interest rates continue to fall a bit. And then corporate securities are at 10% of our portfolio, which is up a little bit versus last month, but still well within our investment policy. And there have been no changes to our corporate securities. We look at the ratings. We look to make sure that nothing's dropping that would cause a concern. So there have been no changes to corporate security ratings. So yeah, and all of our investments are within the policy. So no issues, and things seem to continue to go at this point as planned. So with that, are there any questions?
Any questions? I would just ask, what is the cap for corporate investment?
10%.
So we're at the cap.
We are not at the cap. I
No.
think we are, 20%. We are at
20% is the
10%.
cap.
It is 20%.
Gotcha.
Is the cap. So we're well
Okay.
under. Yes. Thank you. Good question.
Okay. Is that it?
That's all.
Wow. Okay. That again was an information only item. So we'll go ahead and move on now to item number 6, which is upcoming topics. Mr. Cox.
Great. Thanks again, Chad here. So next month in February, we're going to bring an AIS kind of combined AIS program and fee update to the ops committee. In last year, we brought the fees to the ops, and then we brought a program update to the governing board. But this time, there's not as much change. Last year, we were talking about deconning every boat coming in, so there was a bigger change. So this year, we're just going to bring both the small program update and the fee to y'all, and then the fee update will go on consent to the board. Is the game plan. In March, in April, we'll go through our typical monthly financials and then a treasury report again in April. In May, we'll have our investment update. May is the retreat. The retreat's been moved, I believe, a month in order to accommodate schedule. So we'll bring the first pass of the fiscal year 27 budget to you in May. And then the goal is approval in June, as always. So that's what's up and coming.
All right, great. Any questions from any members of the committee? No? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to agenda item number 7, which are committee member comments. Are there any members of the committee that have questions or comments at this time?
I will
Ms.
make one.
Gustafson.
I feel like we're always so silent here, Chad, but it's because you and your team do an excellent job. It is so clear. The financials are so clear and substantiated. There's nothing really for us to question. So I often feel like you're talking to a blank slate here. Brooke throws in a couple good ones, but otherwise we're so comfortable with your leadership here. So thank you.
Thank you. And I know Brooke reaches out if she's got, and you guys are all welcome to reach out if you have questions. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for that comment, because it's true. We are listening, we are interested, we are following, and you do just a great job. Are there any committee members online that would like to have a comment or a question at this time? Okay, seeing no hands, we'll go ahead and move on to our final matter of business, which is our general public interest comment period. Any member of the public wishing to address the Operations and Governance Committee on any item listed or not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. Are there any members of the public here in the room that would like to address the committee? Okay, seeing none, then we'll go ahead and look at our online participants.
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised to comment.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and close public comment, and I'll accept a motion to adjourn. So moved. All right. Any opposed? Anyone in favor? Aye. Just making sure you guys are paying attention. That motion passes. We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.